Am I the asshole for canceling my mother's planned visit after billing me?
My mother, 65, came to visit me, 39 female, her daughter. After I called her to share the news, I received some troubling news about my health. I'm on the mend, worst is behind me.
She lives approximately 2 hours away from me.
During the visit she signaled she planned to charge me for parking fees at the clinic she brought me to, among a couple of other expenses that she incurred helping me out that day.
I was fine with that. She's not exactly swimming in it after retiring, though has some discretionary income, and, well, I'm a grown-up.
In fact, I would have taken care of the parking fees and other expenses myself at the time if I wasn't incapacitated.
So totally fine and expected.
Where I stopped being fine was when she called me after the visit asking for a lot more money than I'd expected. After probing a bit, I discovered that she'd lumped in there an estimate of how much she'd spent on gas to come visit me, and not just the pasta salad she bought for me at lunch, totally fine, but also the pasta salad she bought herself. I'm happy to treat her for lunch, and often do, treated her for dinner that very night, but I found it odd she would just go ahead and add her lunch to the bill.
I hadn't offered, and aren't I the sick one? It was only $20 altogether.
But the reason I canceled her visit tomorrow to come over and help some more was because I couldn't believe she'd pass on her gas expenses to her sick adult child to visit her. When she said she was coming to visit after learning of my condition, she omitted the part of her plan where she'd charge me for her gas to get here.
Sure, she complained about the cost of gas when she arrived, but never did she share her plan to make me cover it. She's never done anything like this before. It's not the money. It's the principle. And I had no intention of paying for her to visit me tomorrow, too. I plan on sharing with her my feelings about all of this once I've given some thought to how I'll navigate it with her. I would feel so ashamed as a parent if roles were reversed. This whole thing makes me question why I haven't billed her when I've gone to visit her after falling ill. Of course I could never bring myself to actually do that. The thought of it makes me feel sick. So am I the asshole for canceling her visit? Edit. Thank you all for weighing in. Many of you have encouraged me to probe her financial situation further, or consider her mental state. All good advice. I will do so when I speak with her about this. That said, I'm confident she is doing fine financially. While retired, she regularly goes out to lunch with her friends, sees plays, goes on a couple trips annually. She has a trip to Italy to look forward to in the fall, etc. So while her income may be modest now that she's retired, she's not in dire straits financially as some of you wondered. As one commenter pointed out, she may just have a quirky relationship with money. I could see that. While this is the first time that she's billed me for her gas to visit me, she's treated other family members like this for other expenses, despite their not treating her that way. She can get anxious, so there may be something there in terms of mental health for me to be aware of. Appreciate the comments encouraging me to look more at things from this angle. To be sure, she did visit out of love. She was terribly worried about me and genuinely wanted to look after me that day. I'll update again after having the convo with her. We'll be borrowing suggestions on how to approach it from the comments. Thank you. Not the asshole. I'm imagining the conversation. No thanks, Mom. Don't bother visiting. My medical insurance doesn't cover the fees. I would probe a bit first. Maybe she is struggling and hasn't said anything. If this is odd behavior, you should check in on her first. When I was 29, I landed myself in hospital in another state that my parents lived in. When I spoke to Dad on the phone and told him I was having surgery but would be fine and friends were going to help me, he told Mum, who then booked a last-minute flight to be by my side without asking. She navigated Sydney public transport all by herself and was by my bedside when I woke up from surgery. She stayed all weekend once I was discharged, bought and cooked me a whole week of lunches and dinners, did my laundry and a bunch of other household chores. She point-blank refused to let me pay her for anything. That is what a parent does. You're not the asshole. If this is unusual behavior for your mother, I would be concerned with her mental condition. If she's always been a penny pincher, then it's just business as usual and I would not invite her to visit often. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. My Dill just asked if I can come help next week and I would never charge them. That is horrible. I usually end up spending money on them as the parent. I am going because she needs a little help and I am happy to. If she needed the dollar, I guess it is okay. I just never would unless I was in a real bind. I am glad you are getting better.
Maybe next time have a talk with her before that you cannot afford her gas this time?
Edit, for typo. Not the asshole. Our 43-year-old daughter is currently ill with shingles.
We picked up her prescription and paid for it, and some calamine lotion, then took it to her together with some milk as she was out.
That was on Tuesday.
Wednesday, she caught up on her sleep thanks to one of the pills prescribed. Yesterday she sounded a lot better, and we asked her what shopping she needed.
She sent me a list. We got everything, drove to her house, had a short visit, then went home.
So far we have spent £50 on her excluding petrol.
And no, we don't expect her to pay us back. It would be different if we were scratching for money, but still. That is what you are meant to do. Am I the asshole for telling my dad I won't be funding his retirement? So my husband and I recently had a baby. We've been together for over 10 years. We have our own apartment. It's a little small, so we do eventually want to upgrade.
My dad lives alone in a 3-bedroom house which is fully paid off. He's semi-retired, retired early and has a really good pension but still works part-time.
He's also a narcissistic functioning alcoholic. I have had a long history of issues with him, and if it wasn't for wanting a nicer place for the baby I wouldn't even be considering this. He would love nothing more than to spend his days drinking and watching Netflix, but he has to work a bit still because his pension doesn't cover all his bills. Just 2 months ago he was in the ICU for alcohol poisoning. Anyway, when my baby was born he offered to let us move in so we would have more room and be able to have more money for the baby. He said we would take the top floor and he would have the basement, with a kitchenette and bathroom. He said all he would want from us is to pay the utilities. I thought this was a way of him reaching out for help.
If we lived there then he would be able to see us and his grandbaby more often and maybe he wouldn't be so lonely and drink so much. Well, fast forward to now. We discussed it more in depth and he wants to do $30,000 worth of renos to the basement before we move in, which he wants us to pay for in monthly payments once we move in, which, okay, fine, fair enough. Then he says he wants to stop working once we move in and in 2 or 3 years he may decide he wants to do something with his life, like travel the world and take out $40,000 against the house to do so, at which point he would have to start charging us rent, amount unknown, to pay for that loan.
Am I nuts, or does it sound like he wants us to fund his retirement and drinking?
The whole point of us moving in was we would save money. Now we're basically going to be back to paying what we are in rent now, stuck in a house that we have no equity in, which he could literally sell at any point. I basically told him off because this is not how he first offered it to us, and he got pissed off and started screaming at me like he has since I was a kid. As if he offered us this great thing and we just pissed on it. I mean, if I was in his position and my kid was in my position with rent, house prices the way they are, I wouldn't be charging them rent on top of utilities. The house is paid for. It's not like he would be supporting us whatsoever. We would be buying our own groceries, driving our own car, both working for it, etc. So am I the asshole for refusing this great offer?
Not the asshole.
You wouldn't be an asshole for refusing any offer, but you can see already that this has moved a long way away from being a great one.
And that's before you moved in, yes?
So this is him presenting his best face to get you to agree? Even if it saved you money, which it does not sound like it will, raising your baby in the house with a narcissistic alcoholic is not a good plan for your family.
If the choice is money or peace, choose peace. Not the asshole for a number of reasons, most of which you stated. You would pay for his renovations, then have no equity in a house that he could sell right from under you. And do you really want a child around an adult who's drinking enough that he needs to stay in hospital? Not the asshole. Paying the $30,000 for his basement improvements monthly. Sounds like rent to me.
Then, he may want to charge rent on top of that?
Too much unknowns.
Even with the straight utilities only, staying in the same house as a narcissistic alcoholic is risky.
He can find some other tenants if he is serious.
Sorry, he led you down the primrose path.
Not the asshole.
What a great offer.
You get a place to live for thousands and thousands of dollars whilst living with a narcissistic alcoholic.
Are you sure you want to turn that down?
Listen to your inner voice telling you to decline. He's just angry because you didn't fall for it.
Plenty of people raise their families in small apartments or houses.
You have a roof over your head, food to eat and utilities covered? You're good. Save money towards getting a bigger place. Keep to a tight budget and in time, you can do it.
Congratulations on your beautiful baby.
Edit. Consider going LC or even NC. He may be a grandpa, but it sounds like he's an unstable one.
If he screams at you, that's scary, and I wouldn't want my child to witness that or be on the receiving end.
Not the asshole. He's negated half your reasons for moving in. If he wants to remortgage and rent it out, he can do that with some actual tenants. You said in your second paragraph you want a nicer place for the baby.
Ask yourself which is nicer. A bigger home with a narcissist functioning alcoholic, yelling, or a teeny flat with a safe and happy mother.
Esh. I honestly don't think you thought about it in depth at all about how terrible it could get when you first accepted. You're the asshole for even considering having your baby live with someone else as messed up as he is right now.
Get your head out of the sand.
Am I the asshole for refusing to pay my child's stepmother to babysit them?
Okay, so before I start, I should say that my son is 5 and only in the past 3-6 months has the father and his partner been consistent in his life.
Anyway, my son's father sees him for 2 nights every fortnight. He picks him up late Friday night and drops him off early Sunday morning every 2 weeks.
Now when he first started being consistent, I would offer money to make sure my son was fed and safe.
I only did this because for the last 5 years he would give excuses of, I have no money to feed him, or, I have no petrol.
My son adores his dad, so I offered the money so that he had no excuse not to spend time with our son. After about the 3rd time of being consistent, his dad said, "You don't need to offer me money anymore, I'm working full-time and want to step up more."
I didn't ask for child support, I never have.
Everything my son has, all his toys, all his clothes, all his school stuff, every experience he's had I have paid for, and I am proud of that fact.
Fast forward to a month ago and I received a message from my son's stepmom.
They aren't married but have been together for 3 years, have a child together and are engaged, so it's easier to describe her as stepmom. The message had said that it isn't financially fair on them to have to pay for things my son wants when with them. She has asked for $100 a night, so $200 a fortnight, to pay for his food, clothes, anywhere they go, and any toys he wants when with them.
I responded with, if he wants a toy when with you, either you or his father can message me and I will happily transfer the money to one of you as long as the toy comes home with him. She said it was irresponsible parenting on my behalf for not wanting my son to have nice clothes and toys when at his dad's house, and that anything bought with them should stay with them. I agreed and said anything they buy for him should stay. She then made a big deal and posted on social media about how I'm a bad mother and refused to take financial responsibility for my son. I screenshot it and sent it to his father and explained the situation to him. He apologized and said he had no idea. She then messaged me accusing me of trying to break up their relationship because I am a jealous ex and that she doesn't think it's right that she should have to babysit my child for free. I said that's fine. If my son isn't seen as part of your family and is just a child being babysat, then maybe the custody situation should be revised. I know it's harsh because I don't blame my son's dad. I'm just at such a loss and feel like a major asshole. Am I the asshole? Edit. Thank you to the helpful comments. I didn't put it into perspective of asking for child support as a way of advocating for my son's rights. I will be speaking to my social worker and asking for child support that will be put into a bank account for my son. Thank you. Not the asshole. But seriously, go for child support.
You're letting down your son by not holding his father to account for part of his upbringing, and that money is for your son, not you. You need to step up and advocate for him so you have the appropriate resources to give him the upbringing he deserves.
Not the asshole, but the stepmom is. Hope you screenshotted this messages also and send them to the father.
He wants to step up for his son?
He should do so to his wife as well. Or remind his wife that her husband would legally be responsible to be child support.
So if she wants money for 2 days every 2 weeks, you might do the same and go for child support for the other 12 days. Not that you would do that, but you can use it as an argument, and that you could go after the child support of the last 3 years.
If that is what she wants. Not the asshole.
It's dad's responsibility to manage this situation.
She never should have even reached out to you.
All communication and financial arrangements regarding your son should only be between you and his dad, and if he ends up leaving stepmom for acting like a teenager, That's on her for acting like a teenager.
If I were in your shoes, I'd tell her to knock it off or you're filing for child support wage garnishment. Not the asshole, but start getting child support. Not the asshole for this. However, I didn't ask for child support, I never have. You should start. It's nice that you've paid for his entire life, but he has 2 parents and both should be contributing. Even if you want to keep taking pride in paying for everything, at least take the money and save it to give to him when he's older instead of enabling a deadbeat. Why kind of the asshole for hampering your child's future financially? Not the asshole. Stepmom is very much in the wrong here, seeing how the father did not know any of this was going on. After letting him know how his partner views his child, as simply someone else's kid being babysat, it is now up to him to discuss it with the stepmom and proceed according to his priorities. If he fails to stand up for your son, then revision of the custody setup would be the reasonable next step. Am I the asshole for not putting in our name at a restaurant? My wife called me the other day at the end of the workday. She was at her brother's and wanted to know what we should do about dinner. We decided to go to a nearby local restaurant. There is always a small wait. She and her brother were about 10 minutes from the restaurant and I was 15 minutes away. They said they were leaving now, so I hurried over. When I got there, I could see from my parking spot, they were not there yet. I called to find out where they were. They had not left yet. I said that I would stay in my truck until they got there. They arrived 15 minutes later. When we were all there, I put my name down. They were mad at me for waiting to put my name down until they got there. I said, well, I should not have to be the only one who waits. This SRT of thing happens all the time. They expect others to wait on them. They purposefully arrive late so they don't have to help set up for things, get ready, or put in a name to do the waiting. It's purposeful and I hate it. So I intentionally chose not to put my name down so they would have to wait. I made this decision because they didn't leave until I got there. I share my location with my wife and she did admit to checking to see where my dot was before I called. I don't care about waiting. I am just tired of it always being my responsibility to wait and it being forced upon me. I told them I was going to wait in my truck. They did not ask me to put in my name when I called, but were upset that they had to wait when they got there. They expected it to have been taken care of. I am an on-time person. I am tired of them being late on purpose so they don't have to wait their turn. They said I was an asshole because I could have put our name in but intentionally did not, but I think I was just being fair to make all of us wait. So am I the asshole for intentionally not putting our name in until they arrived? Edit. For more context, it was a ramen restaurant. They don't do reservations or take call ahead. There is a sign-up list at the front. You write your name and party size. As a group, we had to wait 11 minutes, brother-in-law counted. Not the asshole. They expect others to wait on them. They purposefully arrive late so they don't have to help set up for things, get ready, or put in a name to do the waiting. It's purposeful and I hate it. If it was a one-off, I'd have voted the other way, but that's going to get to anyone eventually. I was ready to say everyone sucked and that you were being petty, but the fact that this is a recurring problem makes you not the asshole, largely because it makes them the Oz. With that said, have you talked with your wife about this issue? If you haven't, then she may not even know that doing this is problematic since nobody has said anything. Yeah. We know it should be common sense, but people having that isn't as common as it should be. Not the asshole, stop waiting. Go in, sit down and order. If they are not there when it arrives, start eating and enjoy your meal. Let them watch you eat. Moan and gush on how every bite tastes. Describe it in graphic detail. Pay your bill while they await for their food, then leave them. You are already there. Might as well have the meal you came for. Not the asshole. You didn't know how long they would be, and a lot of the restaurants that I've been to prefer to seat everyone once they've shown up. Them taking a while means you, and the hostess, would be waiting until they decided to show up. Depending on how busy the restaurant was on top of how fast the tables get flipped, that'd be a while. If they'd been there when you got there, or if you'd put your name in right away, there might have been a table available for you, but since they decided to show up late, I don't blame you for waiting. In Ta, many places won't seat you until your whole party is there. Not the asshole because this is an ongoing issue and because they were taking advantage of you expecting you would rush over, put your name down and they could waltz in and not wait. Tell her if she is 15 minutes late without a good excuse next time, you'll leave.